Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rahakodash. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and salutations to the Akim who are tuning into these videos. In this video, I want to start off by reading this in Matthew 6 and 25, because we have to be in the right mindset when we're entering into Jacob's trouble. Those of the hopeful elect who will come to us when we're teaching and subscribing to our videos so they can listen to the videos that we put out to be edified through the spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, we emphasize and adhere to fasting. That's something that we teach. That's something that we practice at least once a year. And we emphasize to do it more and more so that you can basically get closer to the spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Because when it gets to crunch time, Jacob's trouble, and Esau Edom pushing out that MOTB mandate, it's going to be the hour of temptation to see of the hopeful elect whether they're really with this thing or not. Because it's going to get to a point where Esau Edom is going to have that implementation of the MOTB, and if you don't have that device inserted into you, then you're not going to be able to function in this society. Just as you pretty much need a bank account and a credit card and all those other things to be able to do things in this society, well, it's going to get to a point where we in this ministry, where we're drawing the line, is that we are not going to implement those devices inside of our body, according to Revelation 13 and 16, where it says mark, because that charagma is something that we are commanded not to take. So in a scenario that you could think of, like in Jacob's trouble, where we're pilgrims and we have to go through a whole bunch of situations, whatever may arise, food and water should not be the first thing that you should be worried about. And this right here in Matthew 6:25, Yahweh Shai dispersed that vibration, because we shouldn't be worried about those things. That's what the heathen are worried about. If you are really about this truth and this ministry, then you should adhere to the faith and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Food and water is secondary. So let me actually get this in another chapter, another precept. So this is all the way back over here in Deuteronomy 8. All right, so I'm going to read this a little bit, but just to get a little context right here. After the Israelites left Egypt and they were in the wilderness for 40 years, this was something that was spoken about, because the majority of the people, the Israelites that were leaving Egypt, weren't really right in the spirit. They were rebellious, and they were constantly looking for any and every excuse to disobey the commandments that the Heavenly Father was giving to Moses. Like, you just got to remember, the main reason why we're wearing fringes is because someone disobeyed the Sabbath and picked up sticks on that day. And so because of that, because of the disobedience and that spirit that the 2/3 during Exodus had, the Heavenly Father had to dispose of them, pretty much. And this right here, it emphasizes that message, that we're not really out here that should be worshiping other gods or catering to things, or like being catered to. Or we should be catering to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, I should say. So right here it emphasizes that importance of the spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai and the words. So this is in Deuteronomy 8, and I'm going to start at 1. It says, "All the commandments which I command thee this day shall ye observe to do, that ye may live and multiply, and go in and possess the land which the Lord sware unto your fathers. And thou shalt remember all the way which the Lord thy power led thee these 40 years in the wilderness, to humble thee and to prove thee, to know what was in thine heart, whether thou wouldest keep his commandments or no." And when I read this precept, I think of these other fringe Israelite groups like ISUPK, IOIC. They don't really emphasize this. I think it was General Yohana from the ISUPK says, you think the Lord wants you to starve? Well, technically, yes, if you're reading the scriptures right here, that the Heavenly Father did indeed want the Israelites that were in the wilderness for 40 years to starve, because it was all a test, just like what happened with Job. Job kept his integrity when all hell was breaking loose, but he did not falter in the spirit. So yes, the Heavenly Father will put you in situations to prove you and to test you. Well, we're pretty much in the furnace of affliction right now so that we can be tried and refined, so that we're made pure like the golden wedge of Ophir. And so, yes, to answer that question that those bug outs in these other camps say, that yes, the Heavenly Father will put you in a situation where you're starving to see if you're going to falter in the spirit or rely on Him. So, continuing on in verse 3, it says, and He humbled thee and suffered thee to hunger and fed thee with manna. And so there's the balance. Although the Heavenly Father was starving them in the times of Exodus, He did feed them. He gave them commandments too, not to stash the manna, this and that, but they were still going off and disobeying those commandments. But nonetheless, the Heavenly Father was testing those people. He starved them and then He fed them. And you have to understand that we basically are in that same situation, because we're literally about to leave Babylon. It's going to be a second Exodus, and part of Jacob's trouble and the hour of temptation is going to mirror a lot of things in the scriptures, this here included. So from verse 3 again, it says, and He humbled thee and suffered thee to hunger and fed thee with manna, which thou knewest not, neither did thy fathers know, that He might make thee know that man doth not live by bread only, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of the Lord doth man live. And that's the main thing right there, is through the spirit and power of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shai that we live, that we're guided and protected, even so long as you keep your integrity and you're humble. So I'm going to read this here in Matthew 6 and 25. Because during Yahweh Shai's ministry, there was a lot of murmuring, people confused, and they wanted to get more clarification on things. And this is something that Yahweh Shai emphasized in Matthew 6 and 25. Therefore I say unto you, take no thought for your life, that what ye shall eat, or what ye shall drink, nor yet for your body what ye shall put on. Is not the life more than meat, and the body than the raiment? So that is an afterthought. The hopeful elect are not going to be worried about those things. And, kind of put yourself in those situations, like in Jacob's trouble during the hour of temptation. You might go a few days without eating or drinking, but you just have to understand that the Heavenly Father is just testing you. These scriptures that when you're in those situations should be in your mind. Deuteronomy 8. And then also in Matthew 6 and 25, just to continue on in this chapter. Verse 26, it says, behold, the fowls of the air, for they sow not, neither do they reap, nor gather into barns, yet your heavenly Father feedeth them. Are ye not much better than they? Which of you, by taking thought, can add 1 cubit into his statute? So, back in 26, though, to emphasize that the Heavenly Father takes care of the fowls. He takes care of the lilies and the fields and the fishes and all those things. And so how much more you, as a servant of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shai, that He's not going to protect you? The answer is He will protect you. It's just that it will come with patience. And that's something that we, as of the hopeful elect, are going to be tested if we have that or not. All right, so I'm going to read this also in Romans 15, because I was just speaking about if you're in those situations, what you should be doing. Basically praying, fasting, and meditating on these things. And Deuteronomy 8 is the go-to precept for starving situations, which we may or may not go through. Not all of us have the same path to the end in going through Jacob's trouble in the hour of temptation, but nonetheless, we could see how the structure of Jacob's trouble is going to look like. And if we're not going to have a means to buy and sell, it's going to make it a little more difficult to just be able to buy food like how we're able to right now. So when you're in those situations, even before Jacob's trouble starts, think of Deuteronomy 8. Think of Matthew 24 and Matthew 6 and 24 and 25, 26. All these scriptures should be in your mind. That's why we're rehearsing these righteous acts and reading these things to study and show ourselves approved. But this precept right here goes into that in Romans 15 and 4. For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope. So there it is right there. We got patience and comfort of the scriptures so that we might have hope. The fact that we have the foresight of Jacob's trouble and then have the hope that we're going to endure through these things is what the Heavenly Father is actually looking for. And he's going to feed his servants. So let me find that real quick. All right, so I just wanted to get exactly it. So this is in Isaiah 65, and I'll start at verse 13. So just to emphasize how the Heavenly Father is going to take care of his men, his servants, who have been doing the things that he commanded to do, and also denying the things that he told us to deny, which is the MOTB. So this is in Isaiah 65 and 13. Therefore, thus saith the Lord Yahweh Power, behold, my servants shall eat, but ye shall be hungry. Behold, my servants shall drink, but ye shall be thirsty. Behold, my servants shall rejoice, but ye shall be ashamed. Because the Heavenly Father is ultimately going to prepare food for us. And the scriptures are written aforetime for our learning. You got to look back into what happened with Elijah or Ezekiel. They were fed with crows and ravens, and it was Ezekiel who, when he had the bread, that he was basically able to live off of that food for a minute. It's very nutritious, and it's not a hard thing for the Heavenly Father to give you a small portion of a meal that could last you months. You have to have faith that that's actually going to take place. And even just how Yahushua in this chapter, Matthew 6 and 26 or 27, he was talking about who was able to add a cubit size to themselves. Well, through the spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, all things are possible. So these scriptures are written aforetime for our learning, so that we might have hope. We read these scriptures and it gives us comfort, knowing that if we're doing the right thing now, and being a servant for this ministry, that the Heavenly Father will take care of us in due time. And all of these scourges are really for the 2/3. You got to have that in your mind also, because a lot of people are going to starve, but the people who are going to die of starvation are those wicked and corrupt generation of the 2/3 that are not going to make it. They're not serving Yahweh and Yahushua right now. Therefore, they're going to be ashamed and confounded. So I'm going to continue on. This is in verse 14. Behold, my servant shall sing of joy of heart, but ye shall cry for sorrow of heart, and shall howl for vexation of spirit. Because that's basically what's going to take place. You're going to see a lot of mourning during Jacob's trouble, but you're going to know who's of the elect, because they're going to be satisfied. Even in the days when they're not eating, they're still going to be satisfied, because they're ultimately eating the one thing that everyone else isn't, which is the words of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. Just to bring up Deuteronomy 8 again. That is way more important than anything you could ever have. So this is also in Acts 14 and 22, because I'm not saying this basically to spread fear in the sense of like uncertainty, but more so fear to have respect and reverence for this, because we're giving you the heads up, basically, the foresight that these things will take place. So with all thy getting, get understanding. And these scriptures, let me get that actually, this is back in Isaiah 33, real quick. This is in Isaiah 33 and 6. And wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy time and strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, is his treasure. And you're only going to find that treasure amongst the hopeful elect. And this wisdom and knowledge is going to keep us stable in the days when we're not having food or whatever situation it is. Because there's going to be a whole bunch of chaos during Jacob's trouble. It's called the hour of temptation for a reason. But fear not, Yahweh Shai overcame the world, and through his learnings and teachings and his word, we also can overcome it, so long as we endure. This is in Acts 14 and 22, confirming the souls of the disciples and exhorting them to continue in the faith, and that we must, through much tribulation, enter into the kingdom of the Most High. So it ain't going to be an easy ride. Nonetheless, we're starting now so that we're prepared in the evil days. So that when push comes to shove, I should say, we have these scriptures in our mindsets, scriptures in our mindset, and so that we're able to stand in that evil day. This is I'm going to read these last precepts here. This is in Ecclesiasticus, also known as Sirach 2 and 10. It says, "Look at the generations of old and see, did ever any trust in the Lord and was confounded? Or did any abide in his fear and was forsaken? Or whom did he ever despise that called upon him?" Verse 11, "For the Lord is full of compassion and mercy, long-suffering." He has to emphasize that the Heavenly Father is long-suffering. He's patient. So therefore, you have to be patient. And continuing on, it says, "And very pitiful, and forgiveth sins, and saveth in time of affliction." So that is what you have to think about. Looking in the generations of old, scriptures are written and given us aforetime for our learning, so that we can read the book of Acts and saw what the apostles and Paul were going through. They went through a whole bunch of stuff spreading the words of this ministry of Yahweh Shai and feeding his sheep. And even though when it was rocky and their ships were wrecked and a whole bunch of hell was happening, they ultimately completed their mission. They fought that good fight. And now, fast forward to today's time, we are expected to fight the good fight. And so, last precept, I want to read this since, or more so just to bring this out. This is in the Apocrypha. It's called Bel and the Dragon. And this is a situation where during Daniel and his situation where he was breaking down the dreams and the visions that people were getting. And then also he basically was denying the fact that he had to pray to this statue, this dragon, basically. And so what he did was, what had happened was because of his disobedience for the governing body at the time, he was put in a lion's den. But the thing is, though, is the Heavenly Father still took care of him. And how the Heavenly Father can take care of his servants is multiple ways. He could send his servant to serve his servants. He could send an angel to help his servants help his servant. He could just manifest manna in front of you. Or he could possess the guards, like if you're trapped somewhere, he could possess the guards and have them open the door for you, just like what happened in the book of Acts. These are the scriptures that are written aforetime for our learning, so that in these last days we have comfort, we have hope. And so this is just to emphasize that the Heavenly Father has many ways to take care of his servants. And it was this situation where when he was in the lion's den, he had sent an angel to get Habakkuk to feed him. So I'm going to read this in Bel and the Dragon 1 verse 34. Let me see, Sakya. Yeah, I'll just read, just to get to the point. It says, "But the angel of the Lord said unto Habakkuk, Go, carry the dinner that thou hast into Babylon unto Daniel, who is in the lion's den." And verse 35, it says, "And Habakkuk said, Lord, I never saw Babylon, neither do I know where the den is." Then the angel of the Lord took him by the crown and bare him by the hair of his head, and through his vehemency of the spirit sent him in Babylon over the den. And Habakkuk cried, saying, "O Daniel, Daniel, take the dinner which the Most High Yahweh hath sent thee." So you just have to have that in your mindset. The Heavenly Father can feed you in these situations. And it can be a miracle, basically, and in multiple ways. Think it not strange concerning the fiery trials that are wished to try you. But so long as you have Deuteronomy 8 in your mindset when you're going through these things, wisdom and knowledge is going to keep you stable in those times for the strength of salvation, because the fear of the Lord, Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shai, is his treasure. And it's also the beginning of wisdom and knowledge. And with that, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shai, B'Hashem Ruach HaKodesh. Shalom Akim.